There is an interesting development on a game called Dark and Darker in the video game world. What am I talking about? Well, this is a video game that actually came out on Steam. It hasn't been released, and they've done alpha tests with over 100,000 players on Steam. This is actually a pretty big game. Large streamers like Asmongold and Moist Critical both were playing the alpha and were streaming it.
You just say uwu?
Yeah, he did.
Kill him.
Okay, got his ass, got his ass.
Alright, I'm meditating. I'm
Okay.
AFK 15.
Woohoo.
Oh, Jesus. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, I killed 2 of them, though.
And it seems that the offices of Ironmace were raided by the police, and now a DMCA has been issued against the game on Steam by Nexon over theft of its code. Hey, I gotta say, before I continue with this, please like, subscribe, share, do me these favors, because if you don't, the channel doesn't grow. And I gotta say, a lot of the videos that I put out there, they're banger videos that no one seems to get a reach on. So if you guys can do me a solid here and just share this out with your video game friends, then maybe we can grow and be absolutely great, and the Rising Phoenix will continue on its way up in its journey. From a Korean paper, police raid office of game developer accused of data theft. This was earlier this month. Now, it came down to, it really sounded like there was nothing that came out of it. There was some stuff that was seized, but it didn't sound like there was anything crazy. Now, this story takes place in South Korea, so the laws are quite a bit different. However, it would fall under the Japanese version of the copyright law, which is very similar to the United States copyright law. They have a few extra things to it. So ultimately, I don't know if there's too much crazy here. So police on Tuesday raided the office of the game developer Ironmace, which was suspected of stealing aspects and personnel from game company Nexon to make their own game Dark and Darker. Well, they didn't really steal employees. That's or stuff from the game, from what I can see. The raid took place at Ironmace's office in Sagnonam, Gyeonggi, with police seizing company material related to Dark and Darker. So they seized some material, but it doesn't say what they took. In August 2021, Nexon reported a former employee, identified simply as Leader A, for leaking the game's company's data and assets while working from home during COVID-19 pandemic. The employee was the leader of a game development project which had tentatively been titled P3 or Project 3 by Nexon, and was fired from Nexon in July 2021 after getting caught leaking thousands of files of the project needed. The police turned the case in August 2022 to the district prosecutor's office, which demanded last December that police investigate further to dig up more evidence. We verified Leader A, the then chief of P3 project team, had leaked thousands of files of code, and including the source code and builds, mostly related to project development, to an outside server they owned. Nexon's legal team said that they noticed employees on Wednesday without disclosing the real name of the suspect. We also found that Leader A had suggested to teammates of P3 project they quit the company and work together on the game similar to P3, citing the outside investment sources and more. Founded in 2022, Nexon are the makers of MapleStory. They're listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Now, we have a picture here of The top one is the Project 3. The bottom one is Dark and Darker. So very similar looking. However, this type of game has been made before. I remember PlayStation titles, PS1 titles, very similar to this, where it's a dungeon crawl, you find secrets, you're always fighting monsters. And right now in the gaming space, this type of game is lacking. This genre of game is very lacking in that sense. Ironmace was founded in 2021, 2 months after Nexon fired leader A. So 2 months after they fired the one employee for leaking the documents, they started their own company. Half of the 20-person P3 team quit Nexon and joined Ironmace. So all the employees that had problem with Nexon firing him or whatever, they then quit and joined Ironmace. They flipped over. There was probably other people that were fired. So there's a lot that's going on here. And now this is also in South Korea. So things are a little bit more complicated as it comes down to the world of working. It's a lot different in that sense. Ironmace describes itself as a merry band of veteran game developers disillusioned by their exploitative and greedy practices we once helped create on its website. Now, this is a very tough situation to look at. Was the game picked up and the code actually used for the game? And that's going to have to be proven in a court of law. I don't know where this is going to come down to. A game like this is strongly needed in the world of gaming right now. People want this style of game. I can tell you, me personally, I would love something like this that is more immersive, that's much more like Skyrim. It's why I play Skyrim. Ironmace game was released on Steam for a playtest last August and recorded 100,000 player simultaneous despite being unfinished. Now that was login not all at once, but it was the login for the entire event that they took place. Had P3 been developed normally in-house, it would have been presented to users under the name Mint Rocket, Nexon's notice said, citing the games company brand introduced last May. The project couldn't see the light of day due to unethical actions from former colleagues despite the passion shared at P3. So it sounds like the game was dead in the water. Honestly, there's a lot of people that have problems with Nexon as a gaming developer, but like nowadays, every game developer has some sort of past. You dig through it, you're going to find something wrong with it. They take firm measures not only against Leader A, but anyone else, any other company related to the data leak. Now, the thing is, from the sounds of it, most of the stuff for this game is like Unreal Engine assets. So if they're reciting assets or reusing assets, the only thing they have to go off of is what the original game engine code is. Now, if they used that as the template, Nexon probably has a case here. If they didn't and rebuilt it just using assets from the marketplace, then they don't have a case here. And even so, using the code from the original game that was failed and debunked at that point, it's a tough case. And if you look back in the history books, you have Tetris and you have Asteroids, two very big cases that were a long time ago. You had Texas versus XIO Interactive. There was two games that were produced. One was a clone of Tetris, and Tetris actually won the case in this sense because it was an exact identical version of Tetris with a shading difference of the block palette. And then you have Atari versus Amusement World, which was also Asteroids versus Meteorites. And that one, Atari lost, even though they cited there was 22 similarities between the two games. They lost it because it was used their own code. It wasn't a exact duplicate of the game, and because there was a random generation, and because the game overall was, there was enough differences to say it was two different versions of the same style of game, right? Where the Tetris version, Tetris, literally, you looked at the other game and you went, oh, that's Tetris. Like that was the difference there. It was night and day between the two. So between those two cases, this has come up before, and now we have what looks like with Dark and Darker. So they had a cease and desist issued. The game has been taken down on Steam under a DMCA. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that not everyone's going to know, and obviously this is setting up for a court case battle that's going to fall out with this. According to the Korean news outlet, the one that I was reading earlier talking about it, the battle between Nexon and Ironmace has had its roots way back into 2021 when the Korean industry giant accused of now members of Ironmace development team, referred to as Leader A, of leaking assets for the project dubbed P3. They were later fired in July 2021 for leaking P3 data, same thing that I read earlier. So it's just a rehash of the same story. Now, it's a very interesting story. It's one I'm going to keep an eye on. Moist Critical and Asmon Gold are both kind of keeping an eye on this one. But this one, it piqued my interest because there was a lot of details here that I didn't know what was going on, and that's where I came up with this video today. So I hope you like this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I am your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cineshadow. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.